Hey, welcome back, everybody. Of course, you know me. My name is Dr. Keith McNally, and I'm here with my co-host,
Noemi Beres from Cyprus.
and this is the Sacred Divine. And so we are joined by Gloria Grace Rand, and we have a fantastic journey to go through today. Isn't that right, Noemi?
Absolutely. And welcome to the show, Gloria. It's an absolute pleasure talking to you today. Finally, we made it happen
I
with a
I
bit
know.
of rescheduling and everything going on, but it's so nice to see you today.
Oh, it's wonderful to be with both of you, and I am so looking forward to this discussion because I love what your podcast is all about. It's like just so aligns with who I am and what I am teaching and helping women with. So I love it. I love it. I love it.
Well, let's carry that positive energy forward. Noemi, how do you want to get started with this conversation?
I mean, first of all, I did a bit of background research on Gloria and I listened to a few interviews and I just loved all your conversations. So first of all, I would love to know more about your journey and about your transformation because the Sacred Divine podcast is all about transformation. So Gloria, can you share your journey from working in television to becoming a holistic business guide and author? So what inspired your transformation?
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm going to try to keep this short because because my journey in television is a long time ago now. Um and but it was a wonderful experience. I worked for a public television station, worked for the nightly business report, of all things, and enjoyed that. And then life happened. We moved, and I wasn't able to continue doing that, and so I wound up starting my own business, helping business owners with their online marketing and writing content for their websites, and that was lovely. And I was, going right along with that. In fact, it's now like going into my 16th year. This year is going to be since I started that, which is mind-boggling. Um, and along the way, again, life happens. So I had an older sister. She's the last remaining member of my family that I grew up with, and she unfortunately was diagnosed with cancer, and it was, stage 4, not great. And so I wound up spending a lot of time with her, and then shortly before she transitioned, I was meditating, which meditation was a practice I actually started shortly after I started my business. Fortuitively, I think the universe knew I was going to need this practice because it definitely came in handy while I was helping my sister to keep me grounded. But anyway, shortly before she transitioned, I was meditating, and this idea popped into my head to write a book about love. And remember opening my eyes going, what? That's crazy. I do marketing. What do I know about love? Why would I write a book about love? That's absurd. And yet, again, I had started paying attention to synchronicities and signs. And later that morning, I got an email from Hay House offering a writer's boot camp uh, to write a book. And I thought, well, if anybody's going to teach me how to write a book about love, I think it's going to be Hay House because, they're the personal development publishers. And so I signed up for that. And then life intervened. My sister transitioned, and I kind of put that book on the back burner for a while. So it took a while for me to really unpack that, but it was, I think, really her cancer journey is what really ignited my own spiritual journey of seeking. And I, was started attending lots of different workshops and working with different people and trying different modalities, theta healing and all sorts of different things. But also, once I finally really started writing the book and unpacking it, because what came to me that first day was that love was an acronym, and and I wrote down what it was, and it was the L stood for let go and let God, the O was open your heart to receive, the V was value your uniqueness, and the E was embrace your divinity. And at the time, I was like, okay, sure, that sounds lovely, but what does that all mean? So that's why I say writing the book took me to that first layer of what that meant. And I've, in the years since, because the book was published in 2021, actually in February, right on my sister's birthday, which was February 21st. I thought I loved the synchronicity again. 22121, that worked for me. But since then, I've, in fact, even just like a couple days ago, had another realization of what the true deeper meaning of it is. And we can unpack that a little bit. But hopefully that gives you enough context that tried to do, you know, I don't know, 30, 40 years of my life.
30 years of life in 5 to 6 minutes, and that was
Right.
fantastic. So
Yeah.
let's do that. Let's unpack it like a Christmas present. When it started and you were given this acronym, which really wasn't an acronym just yet, as you were kind of maturing into this idea, what was originally, what was the love idea? So from the
Sure.
origins of the book, because we're going to come into what it is now, but
Yeah.
so let's talk us through this journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So when first writing it out and what was interesting too is like the book ended up being much more of a memoir than I had anticipated. I thought it was just going to be this self-help book and I was like, no, I realized that it was things that I had gone through. So like the let go and let God for me at first was about letting go of limiting beliefs that I had, especially around money in particular, because as I was, trying to build this business, I wasn't as successful as I wanted to be. And I realized that part of it was because of the way that I was brought up. My parents grew up during the Depression. My mom had a lot of, you grow up hearing these things, money doesn't grow on trees. You got to work hard for the money, and things like that. And and then the only entrepreneur in our family was my uncle, my mom's brother, who she thought was a crook. So again, it's like, okay, well, how can I be a successful businesswoman if I've got this other idea that, well, becoming rich or something or being a business person isn't a good thing. So I had these kind of things, and I had to learn to be able to kind of start letting some of that go, and also like letting go of expectations of how things are going to work and things like that. And then the opening your heart to receive, I realized it was about, again, I was having trouble asking for help because I grew up, my dad was an alcoholic, and so I because life was so chaotic growing up, I wanted to be in control of everything. So that meant my business too. So that means I have to do everything in my business, right? Yeah, you can only do that for so long, and otherwise you're going to burn out. So, it's about learning how to be able to get help, whether it's hiring a VA or working with coaches. And so I had to do that. And then also even opening your heart to receive money. One of the stories I tell in the book was about my sister, who was a massage therapist. And she called me one time around Christmas time and said she'd received this bonus from one of her clients, a holiday gift of $1,000, and she wasn't sure she should accept it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody wants to give me $1,000. I'm like, yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. But she, again, we grew up in the same household. So she had these, I'm not worthy type of stuff. So I had to like ask her, questions. Well, is this lady, really satisfied? And does she, maybe even prefer you and all this? And finally came to this the realization for her as well as for me is that, well, you need to be able to receive this money because that's how she is showing how much she appreciates you and frankly loves you. And so if you're going to reject that gift, you're rejecting her. And so she did actually accept the money, but she said, okay, I'll take it, but I'm just not going to spend it. I'm just going to set it aside. So she did. And then we finally had to spend it when she was not working due to cancer. So it did come in handy. So that's it, and then valuing your uniqueness, which was interesting. This was the part when I wrote the book, I started out handwriting everything in a journal and then I transferred it to my computer. When I'm like going through and transferring to the computer, I'm like, this section has the least amount of stuff so far. Isn't that interesting? Maybe this is because I'm not valuing my own uniqueness of what makes me, you know, uh, a unique individual. And so that was something I had to, really unpack. And again, so I teach people, it's about, when people are giving you testimonials, say, especially for like business owners, keep track of those things and use them. When you are feeling like you're not enough, go back and read them and remind yourself, oh, yeah, I do. I am good. I do. I am good at what I do. Um, and then the Embrace Your Divinity to me initially was really about self-love. And it still is, really. It really is about appreciating who you are. And I do believe that we are all spiritual beings living this human life. And so yeah, it's really about embracing yourself. And yeah, so that's sort of where I landed at the beginning here.
And you mentioned that your love method is kind of a blend of spirituality and practical action. So how do you guide clients who are hesitant about integrating spiritual concepts into their business practices? Because there's some people are, and they kind of woo, and I don't want that. And how do you do that?
Yeah, well, I'm still unpacking that because I did actually just completed uh, uh, something I call Align to Shine Academy, and it was a 30-day program to help business owners. Ostensibly, that was what my intention was, to help them to be able to overcome self-doubt and to really be who they are. I mean, the subtitle of my book is How to Stop Doubting Yourself and Start Being Yourself. And and one of the women who participated was having a little bit of a hard time about, I think it was the divinity part or something, because she says, I was raised Lutheran and I don't know, this idea of, me being, part of God, and was like having a little bit of hard time with that. Um, so I think it's going to be something that I will perhaps, mostly I think is going to be in how I market it. I probably just need to do a better job of marketing and honing in on really who I want to attract as someone who is more uh, spiritual as opposed to religious, for one thing, because I'm, what do you say, Reformed Catholic? I grew up Catholic, but I'm not practicing anymore. Um, so yeah, someone who is open, I'm looking for people who are more open-minded and willing to, consider that, yeah, we have this divine nature because we're part of God. We were created in God's image. My mom always loved to say that, well, number one, she would, say that we're a child of God and that God doesn't make junk either. So, so we are worthy, we have value, and yeah, and we need to lean into that idea that we are we are part of God. We are divine just as much as God is. I mean, because we're, it's like the tree and we're the branches or the leaves of it. So we're still connected. So the tree isn't, or the branch isn't something totally different. It still has everything within it. It's got all of those lovely things that I think I remember from biology class. I don't know, cellulose and all the other stuff that makes up a tree.
Earlier, let me kind of jump in here. Earlier, you had mentioned how the universe comes back around sometimes and uh, gives us assistance or teaches us a lesson or prepares us for something, whatever's next. And you have experienced this throughout the stories that you just told us this morning. Um, as as you are embracing this divinity, you are embracing this spirituality and the expression thereof. How has really that aspect of the universe coming back and providing assistance or teaching or guidance, how has that become valuable for you personally?
Um, okay. So in so many ways, but it's like I've had a couple of experiences just in the last 2 weeks that just really just brought this home for me about how when we need help, that help is available and it can come even faster than we think. It sometimes it takes a while because sometimes divine timing. It has its own thing. But I think it was either last week or the week before, I was out for my morning walk and I was just not in a great mood. I don't know. Even though I was listening to inspiring stuff, I just wasn't in a great mood. And I'm I walk in early morning hours right now and it's still dark out. Um,
Totally there
so
with you.
yeah, so it's like it was like 5 o'clock in the morning or something, and so it's dark out, and I'm walking in the parking lot of my apartment complex, and there's this part of in our parking lot, they have some areas where it's covered so that people can park underneath and don't have to have the boiling Florida sun boiling down on their car. And so ahead of me was one of these little parking structures, and I saw a guy. I thought at first, because a lot of times you'll see people out there walking their dogs, and so I saw him kind of walking around the parking structure, and but then all of a sudden he started kind of like going like this, and just kind of like very happy-go-lucky sort of person, and and I remember he was sort of wearing like a gray shirt and but I was a little, I don't know. It's like this person, on drugs or something. I'm not quite sure. So, kind of didn't, he was still ahead of me, but I kept walking. And then as I kind of got around, there's this like circle where I started going. And then he had kind of gone somewhere, I don't know, he went around the parking thing. But then I'm looking and I'm going like, where the heck did he go? Like, it was kind of weird. Like, and so what came to me later, because I'm like, what the heck was this? And I'm thinking that this was like an angel or something to like get me out of my mood because it really did. Because I was like, what the heck was that? And it really did brighten me up. And I started like, going, okay, was this some sort of sprite or an elf or what the heck was it? And because it was like just disappeared. I'm like looking around, not seeing anywhere where he went. So that was one. And then again this week when I was out for a walk again, I don't know, just wasn't in the best of mood. Normally I wake up and I'm pretty good. I'm in a good mood and and I do my gratitudes in the morning when I wake up. I'm grateful to be alive. But for whatever reason, I still was just kind of like, eh. And then I was trying to find something to listen to on my phone, and I wound up on the Gaia channel, Gaia app, and I found this talk with someone who was talking about Mother Mary. And shortly after I started listening to this, all of a sudden this idea popped into my head about what the love method, what the core of it really was. And I was like going, and so I'm like, thank you, Mother Mary. I think maybe you just listening to that just sort of triggered something in me that helped me really get to, so I'm like pulled out my notes app on my phone because I'm like, I'm going to remember this before, because sometimes you get distracted and then you forget. I'm like, no, I want to get this all down because I had it. So that was like two concrete, I think. Hopefully that answers your question of how, yeah, I mean, things can happen. And I think it's because I do have spent so much time really being in more alignment with my higher self and with the divine that even when I don't specifically ask for help, it's given.
It
So,
looks
so
like walking. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, well, I know you want to jump in with a question, but I just want to kind of respond back to say, I have had conversations with other people, and it's like the universe will come back and come back and come back again until you get it, until you
Yeah.
learn the lesson.
Yeah.
And so I think that's very appropriate for you to say, and you specifically said these things occurred when your energy is low. Now, you didn't use that phraseology. You used, I
Yeah,
just,
but it was.
yeah, I'm not, this isn't my happiest time. So, it's interesting how the universe comes back and says, we need to get that energy up because I know that's where you want to be. It knows that's where you want to
Exactly.
be, and
Yeah.
that's where it wants you to be.
Hmm.
Noemi, what's next?
No, it's just I just wanted to add like the best ideas come during walking. I mean that's for sure. I mean, and then I
Or
have
the
my phone
shower.
with yeah, or shower or in the bathroom. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely it works for
I'll
sure.
go with the walking part since I do a lot of that myself.
Yes, yes. Or meditating, I will say too, because I've had I've had great ideas come to me while I'm meditating. So, and I think that's it. All of those have something in common. When you're out walking, you're just focusing in on walking, and you're not overly, having that monkey mind go crazy. So I think it helps you to be more in connection with, uh,
You're the third
with.
person I've ever heard use that phrase, monkey
Oh,
mind.
really?
Noemi uses it.
I do a
Um,
lot. Yeah, I do a
I'm
lot.
not
Yeah.
quite sure what that means, but I mean, I do know what it
Chattering,
means.
chattering, ba,
Yeah.
ba, 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 ba.
Yeah. Too much
Yeah.
noise in our head. Yes.
So, Noemi, how do we want to wrap up this conversation where we're leaving the audience with something really valuable, typically something that our audience can kind of take away from this conversation and within the next 24 hours, not just connect with Gloria wherever she is on social media, but really find value in what she has to say?
So, Gloria, I mean, I loved the knowledge you shared with us and your stories, but what actionable steps can our listeners take today to begin trusting themselves and their abilities, especially when navigating self-doubt, because it's so widespread and it's a problem
Yeah. Oh,
in
yeah.
society.
Absolutely. Well, there are my three, well, actually, well, really two core practices, actually, is number one is practicing some type of mindfulness, so whether it is meditating, whether it's going out for a walk, wherever you can do, maybe it's just mindfully washing the dishes, but whatever you can do to quiet your mind. And because when you make that a regular practice, I mean, my non-negotiable in the morning is that I have to meditate because sometimes I may, if it's raining, I may not go out for the walk, but I have to meditate at least for a few minutes every morning because that's what keeps me grounded. It gives me that chance to be quiet. And I know people are like, well, what if the mind isn't quiet? Well, sometimes the mind isn't quiet, even for me, and it's like, but you just have to let it go and just say, okay, thank you for, whatever. And I'm just going to still be sitting here. So, you can chatter away all you want, but I'm still focusing in on, listening to my breath or just focus in on a mantra or something. The other one is journaling. I love to be able to journal in the morning. Sometimes I'm not saying a whole heck of a lot. Sometimes I'm writing seriously, like, I don't know what I want to write today, but I know this is a good practice. So I'm just going to keep writing and trust that eventually something will come through. And then eventually something comes through, and I have finished 3 pages of writing. And I find that that is really another great way. And if you don't want to do it in the morning, even if you do it maybe when you have, maybe like, with me, where I wasn't feeling good, thankfully something helped, but I could also journal like, I don't know why I'm in a bad mood today. This is really annoying. And, I really would like something to change my frame of reference. And then that will do it because you're getting it out of your head, and which is the important thing. So those are kind of my two things of where you can start from, to because that really does help you to start connecting to yourself, and your divine self when you can start doing practices like that.
So let's get the logistics down. Where are you on social media? I was just about to say socially, but where are you on social media? How can people connect with
Socially, I'm
you?
in Florida, but I'm primarily on LinkedIn. That's where I'm really having a lot of good time lately. I'm on Facebook, but I don't know. I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to stay there. Frankly, I was just hearing about something yesterday, going, really? They're going to do that? More AI bots and profiles. I'm like, I don't know. So LinkedIn primarily and YouTube. I also have a YouTube channel. So where I do have, I have my own podcast as well. In fact, I've been fortunate to have Noemi as one of my guests, and yes, and so we'll have to have you on too, Keith, soon, I
Well, I
think.
appreciate that. I didn't know about that. I need to go ahead and subscribe. And I've got a couple of
Okay,
different Gmail accounts, and so I could easily add four to your
very
YouTube
good.
channel.
Awesome. Yeah, so those are kind of my and I'm at Gloria Grace Brand on both LinkedIn and YouTube, so you can find me there. And of course, my website. I have a website as well, which
Well,
is my name too. So
we are going to put all of that in the show notes, so it'll be in the description of this video. And when this gets uploaded to Spotify and lands on our podcast platforms, it'll be in the show notes as well. Gloria, Noemi, I so appreciate this conversation this morning. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you, Gloria.
for those of you who've been watching and listening, we will see you next time on The Sacred Divine. Take care.